The Formula Drift Black Magic Championship heads to the second home of drifting, Road Atlanta. The world-famous drift course hosts the world's top drifters as we begin round 3. Odi Bakshis has started his 2019 campaign in a dominant way with 2 back-to-back wins, a feat not often accomplished by even the most seasoned veteran. Can Odi repeat, or will another contender stake their claim on the championship? Let's find out only on Formula Drift Insider.
I can't be mad at you.
Before we see the action unfold at the infamous Road Atlanta, let's backtrack to round 2, Orlando Speed World, where it looked like Frederick Osbo was the guy to beat.
Orlando was interesting. We qualified really well with 99 points, and that made us #1 qualifier. But going into the battles, we didn't quite have the chase run that we needed to do well. I messed up my 32, we scraped by, we got into top 16 against Von Gittin Jr., I got him to it one more time, and then it just fell apart. So didn't feel comfortable with the smoke at all. All in all, we ended up in the top 10, which we'll take, but we definitely need to work on our chase game.
Last event at Orlando, we did pretty well. We went up against Vaughn in top 8, and he was quick. You know, he outed us. And when I went to chase him, he just left me on the line. You know, I didn't expect him to be so quick to leave the line, and he was gone. As soon as the light turned, he checked out, and I had to basically sacrifice all of my bank line, super shallow, to try to catch back up. I did that. I caught back up, but I think the sacrifice that I made on the bank was so huge that it wasn't able to offset. You know, his performance was so good, and you know, I just sacrificed too much, and you know, he got the win, and that's racing. But we'll learn from that, and next time we won't sleep at the line.
I had a really good run at Orlando. You know, it was hot, muggy. It started out kind of like, oh man, this is Orlando. It's going to be a tough one, and it was. But honestly, the team did great. The car was doing amazing, and I had no excuse. So I just made my way through the battles. Had 2 one more times with Von Gittin Jr. in Final 4. You know, it was really exhausting, and especially the one more time battles, because you kind of get a reset when you win and you go on to the next opponent. But when it's a one more time, you stress about it. You go, man, I have to do better. I'm obviously making mistakes. I'm not winning. So it gets mentally stressful, and then at the same time, I was physically not feeling well. So that was just really making it hard for me.
We're just coming off of Orlando, and we got 2nd place, which is awesome. It's 2 podiums in a row. We've actually been on the podium in Orlando every year, surprisingly. So I don't know why I say I don't like that track, because it's pretty good to us. We have it pretty figured out. And it was good. We had a lot of tough competitors. We got all the way to the finals, and I had my first D-beat in competition, which gave us the loss, or gave Odi the win. We didn't even push it. We were running the same pressure all weekend long. I think it just came off it a little too hard, and it was unfortunate that we couldn't give a good final battle, but 2nd place, 2 podiums in a row, I'll take it.
You know, honestly, I was so exhausted by that time and not feeling well, because I was getting just sicker and sicker, that I was just glad it was over with, and very happy though that I was winning. You know, it was a sweet win, and then it was also a sweet feeling knowing that I could get some rest.
With the win in Orlando, Odi Bakshis has a ton of confidence coming into round 3. How is he going to perform at Road Atlanta? We'll find out when we return. Formula Drift Insider is brought to you by Black Magic. Own your shine. Gum Out. Science in, performance out. And by Air Force. Aim high. So many tires, so many smiles for so many miles. 16 years ago, Formula Drift slid its way here to Braselton, Georgia. There's a lot of drivers that have never seen this course before, but some are veterans.
Atlanta is an amazing track. I've been coming here since day 1, 2004, where we went all the way to the finals the very first year when I was 21 years old, and so it's pretty cool to still be coming back here. It's one of the best venues that we go to. It's beautiful. The fans are amazing. You know, they just get rowdier every year, and we're just here to put on an awesome show.
Oh, the people here are amazing. You know, always whenever we approach Atlanta, we know that something crazy gonna happen. You know, from the fans' perspective, they are really lean back and relaxed. They came here to have some fun together with us, and that's excellent. I cannot wait for a main competition to just, you know, together with everybody, have some good time.
Crowd's awesome at Atlanta. I mean, when this place gets packed, I mean, it's just like the whole hill is roaring. You know, they got that night, the lights coming off of the cars and the lights from the stadium shining down on you, and it's just an awesome vibe out here. Game plan, you know, if it's wet, it's gonna throw everybody's, you know, throw a wrench in everyone's gears, but, you know, we'll be ready. We'll change up the settings on the car, and, you know, we'll be bringing some good runs.
In order to win here at Road Atlanta, you gotta be prepared for anything. This is a track where we compete in blazing hot daylight, as well as in pretty cold and chill nighttime, where the track tends to get looser, more slippery, it's hard to see at night. So this is a mix of all the FD rounds in one. So if you can keep a calm head, if you can stay glued to that car in front of you and put down good lead runs, you have the winning combination.
I think winning here is going to take a lot of consistency. This track is so fast, and the conditions change quite a bit here. We practice during the heat of the day. It cools down. We've had some adverse weather, so you got to be consistent despite all those changes in weather and track conditions, and I feel like that's going to be key here.
Next stop is the drivers' meeting, and this is an important one because Mother Nature could rear her ugly head.
If we have to send individual sight laps or individual cars for sight laps, it's going to take forever to get this thing done. So it's got to be 2 cars.
So between the burnout box and the
enjoy yourselves, and we look forward to having you back next year. Cheers.
I'm sweating, but I'm not drinking beer.
You sure? You smell of beer. Were you drinking last night?
No, you know that he's recording.
Gee, my eyes are watering. I'm coughing so hard. Tearing up, Shabin. It's a beautiful day.
The hardest part for me today would be if the weather changes. If the weather stays like it is right now, I mean, it's a little humid, but it's not too bad. If it starts raining and stuff, it's going to get real chaotic for everyone.
I think it probably will rain today, unfortunately. So we're going to go from probably top 32 in the dry to top 16 in the wet. That's how the rain is looking right now. That's going to be changing the outcome of this event completely.
Warming up.
That's how you do it?
A little hand-eye reaction, coordination, just keep your mind focused instead of sitting here and let the thoughts run wild, and have a little fun. Punch yourself in the face.
The round of 32 begins with drivers keeping cool, calm, collect, and dry so the fans can see a signature smoky Road Atlanta. A lot of the heavy hitters advanced on from the 32 into the 16, notably #1 qualifier Frederick Osbo. With no signs of lightning in the sky, we did get to see it on track with the first ever electric car in Formula Drift head-to-head competition, courtesy of Napoleon Motorsports and Travis Reeder. Unfortunately, he did get taken out by Chelsea DeNofa.
You guys get more voltage or no? Yeah, it helped?
Yeah, it helped a little bit.
That's good, yeah.
The conditions have changed drastically. What was dry and smoky is now slippery and wet. Contact was made and some drivers moved on to the top 16. Find out who advances when we return here to Road Atlanta Formula Drift Round 3. Formula Drift Insider is brought to you by Nexen Tire. We got you. NOS, High Performance Energy. How hard will you drive? And by Falcon Tires. The infamous keyhole at Road Atlanta was paved 16 years ago, and now these 16 drivers are going toe-to-toe in the wet. Points leader, Odi Bakshis. RTR, ready to rock, Vaughn Gittin Jr. And his RTR teammate, Chelsea DeNofa. #1 qualifier, Frederick Osbo. From DR, Jonathan Castro. From Ireland, Dean Carnage Carney. Then you got the beast from the Bay, Matt Field. Next up, Forrest Wang is about to get nuts. Pat Gooden's all thumbs up. Gunning for it is Ryan Turk and his teammate Chris the Force Forsberg. Dirk Stratton coming to us from Ohio. Daijiro Yoshihara, FD veteran. Another champion, Michael Essa. And rounding out the top 16 are the Wordhouse Drift Boys. Two-time and defending Formula Drift champion James the Machine Dean and his Polish teammate Peter Visick. The judges stay dry as they scrutinize the runs, and we enter the first battle of top 16, Frederick Osbo and Matt Field.
super treacherous conditions here in Atlanta. We have a storm rolling through right now, and going out for top 16, I didn't really know what to expect. We tried to put down a good, strong lead run. It was a little bit hairy coming into that keyhole, but we kept it together while Matt spun behind us. Made it easy for us going into my chase. Stuck it to his door, especially around the second half of my chase, and we move on into the top 8.
Did a nice lead run. Vaughn brought the heat a little bit. He got close in the keyhole, but maybe a small mistake. We got the run on him down the hill, and so we just need to make sure we did the same to him. And so, went up. We're door to door with him through turn 1, up the hill, back in the keyhole, and it just felt really, really good. The wet setup we have in the car is ideal, and we're ready.
We asked for wet and we're after getting wet. Just after our top 16 battle against Dirk Stratton. It's raining, visibility was awful. Very challenging track in the wet because you got the glare from all the track lights, which are really good and bright, but they just glare against your windshield, side windows and our cars. So my visibility was very, very poor. We managed to keep it on track, got all our runs done, and yeah, we're moving on to top 8. We're going to be facing Odie or Forrest Wang. They're on a one more time battle and they're both pushing really hard. So no matter what happens, we can't play it safe.
Yeah, so I don't know if like the filters got wet. Or like, yeah, I think maybe the filters got wet or something. But it didn't change the outcome of the ice skating right at the bottom of the hill.
Did Odie or Wang take it?
One more time.
Oh, it is.
James Dean looks on to see who he's going to go against. Points leader Odie Bakshis or Forrest Wang.
Battled Forrest Wang in top 16, and it was no easy feat because the conditions were really challenging, and Forrest is a really good driver in the wet. It was very apparent. He was chasing me, and I felt him bump me here and there, so I knew I had to just be on it. And we switched, and I did exactly that. I tried driving as aggressive as I could, and it has resulted in a one more time. So we stepped it up a little bit more, and the one more time I felt like, I got a little bit more out of my car. I was just adapting to the conditions, and we're moving on. So very excited to be moving on to top 8.
The next battle of top 16 has Chelsea Denofa and Pat Gooden. Chelsea Denofa carrying some momentum from Florida as he finished 3rd place, and Pat Gooden getting top 16. Pat Gooden in the wet says this is one of the best vehicles he's ever driven, but he has to battle the weather and Chelsea Denofa. Eventually, Pat Gooden gets his first ever Grade 8 introduction.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, we're taking out cars that are like brand new and fresh and have all this, everything into it. And like, Matt built this car in like his garage with his friends. And like, sure, it's updated and there's a lot of expensive parts on it, but oh my God, it's so good. It's just so good.
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed that we only had top 16 this event. I'm excited to see Pat move on, but obviously it's going to hurt us a little bit in the points chase. But we learned a lot today, and we're going to have a better car for the next rain event, which is inevitably going to happen, so we'll see how it goes.
2 champs ready to send it, Dai Yoshihara and Michael Lessa.
Yeah, in the follow position, it was super hard to see behind Dai. The spray coming off his car down the straightaway blinded me everywhere. I just saw his back bumper, so I just followed his bumper until he initiated, and then you can see the track. But my glasses are fogging up, my visor's fogging up, the inside of my windshield, and some mud spray too. So adding all those things together, I don't know, it's probably 90 degrees in my car right now, and there's so much humidity, it just steams up everything. So that's a huge factor. The lights, glare, the rain, and it's pretty hard to see out there.
The 86 Toyota Ryan Turk versus the Dodge Viper of Dean Carney.
Had a lead lap on the first lap and just tried to lay it down nice and clean, as qualifying-like as possible. I was a little short on a couple of the zones, but overall, no major mistakes. On the chase lap, pretty clean, entered with Dean very well. He got away from me a little bit up the hill, reeled him in around the horseshoe, and then he pulled me coming down the horseshoe into the last switchback, but we ended up getting the win. Nice, clean, smooth lines, and we're moving on to top 8.
Polish driver Visick versus DR's own Castro.
So top 16, first battle with Jonathan Castro. After my siding lap, I felt pretty confident. I tried to do the same thing. I initiate, but car went really wide on the initiation. So I managed to somehow get it back on the line. That was it. I was pretty happy about the rest of the course. When I was chasing him, I simply tried to stay close, but after the first transition, I messed up the angle a bit, and I need to catch him back. and I managed to do it somehow. And on the last corner, unfortunately, he spun, and that was it.
As the cars get even dirtier, the driving gets cleaner as we enter into the Grade 8.
Oh boy, that was a super fun battle. Went up against Chris Forsberg. He had great speed out here in the wet. They've done a great job of the setup of that car, and I think them being on the next tire probably helped him a lot. It was a very tit-for-tat battle. He was chasing me close in parts of the track. I was chasing him close in other parts of the track, and at the end of it, it came down to little nitty-gritty details. We moved on. My car looks like a short course race truck. It's full of dirt, and I absolutely love it.
Just got through top 4, battled Odie in a crazy battle in the wet conditions. He made contact with me, I pushed as hard as possible chasing him. We made no contact, but it was very clean, very close, and on the limit. So next up we got Asbo, and you know we got to push hard, whatever happens, happens. Let's see.
This car got a lot of hours on it, a lot of abuse, so I'm very much looking forward to just going through the whole thing and, you know, making it tip-top for New Jersey.
Regardless of the less than ideal conditions, the fans are sticking it out to find out who wins at this iconic track. Next up, Gooden and Essa.
So that was absolutely insane. You know, I had my lead run. I knew he was pretty close to me, but I had a solid run, but I still wanted to push and not leave it up to the judges to you know, decide or go one more time. So I wanted to be right on him on entry. I was really close, and he dropped, I think, a left front wheel, and there was like this massive wave of mud that came up all over my helmet, visor, and I didn't have the windshield wipers on. So mid-drift behind him, get on the throttle, reach down, hit the windshield wiper switch. At least the wipers worked right away, and then I could see again. So I don't know what happened in between there, but I saw him, caught right back up to him, and just stuck it to his door the rest of the run.
I just went up against Peter from the Wordhouse team, top 8 battle. We got the lead first. Just tried to lay down a solid qualifying line. Best that you can do in the wet here, tough conditions. Didn't quite get out to the outer zone, but played it consistent. He was all over us, so I knew we needed to just lay it down. Chase lap, I just stuck it all over him. I got as close to him as I humanly could with the car and just tried to stay on his door for as long as possible all the way through the finish line, and we got the win, moving on to our first semifinals of the year.
The Grade 8 is a wrap. Next up, when we return, the Final 4 on Formula Drift Insider. Formula Drift Insider is sponsored by Black Magic, own your shine. Gum Out, science in, performance out. Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts. And by Achilles Radial, tires you can trust. The Final 4 is set, and the first battle poses number 1 and number 2 overall in the 2018 championship. It's Frederick Osbo versus defending champion James Dean.
Going against James in top 4, I try to put down a solid qualifying run, and that's really, really hard in these conditions. You have a slippery entry, and then the rest of the track is pretty grippy. And I could tell that James was right there on my door. So for my chase, I really tried to stick it to him the whole way through. It was a little bit off during the first couple turns, but across the finish line, we were right there.
Oh yeah, I was trying my best to be, you know, neat and tidy, second gear. I was trying my best so that his car is just, even in the straight, he had no wheel spin, and I was getting wheel spin trying to come down after him.
We just went up against Mike Essa, got the W. Moving on to the finals. Tough battle. He was running great. He was all over us on his chase lap. Tried to put down just a good lead lap, nice and clean. And on our chase lap, I just applied a little bit more pressure than he did on the ladder side of the track, and pretty sure that's what gave us the win.
You know, we still did really well, so I'm really excited to go on to the next round and just do really well out in Jersey.
The finals are set. It's an all-Toyota battle. Frederick the Norwegian Hammer Osbo versus Ryan Turk. Turk with a lot to prove after totaling his vehicle at round 1. But Frederick Osbo wants to put a stop to him as he can make this a perfect event after being number 1 qualifier.
Last run with Osbo, I knew he was going to be super fast going up the hill, and that's pretty much what got us. He just took off and got a big gap, and I just tried to play catch up. In the last clipping point to the finish line, I actually went 3 wheels off, and I knew I had to just lay it down for my lead lap, and I just couldn't apply pressure in the chase, and that was kind of the end of. It's pretty much the deciding factor. New Jersey, I've only podiumed there once with a third. I'd love to get a W there. It's we've been running at it since 2006, so it's been a long time with only one podium. Go out there and shoot for a win.
If you look at tonight's podium, you have 3 guys that grew up in the rain. You have myself from Norway, you have James from Ireland, you have Turk from all the way up north on the East Coast. And, we know how to drive in these conditions. That doesn't make us perfect, but when we're up against, guys that may be much better in the dry, tonight is when we excel.
When the rain was forecasted, I was kind of bummed out, really, because this venue and this audience deserves, dry, fast, the energy, but man, even as the rain came down, the driving escalated, mud spraying everywhere, the crowd was just as enthusiastic, if not more so, and I feel like these guys, and I was pumped. Like, this was one of the most exciting events as a fan, as a person involved in this series, that I think we've ever had.
Congratulations to Frederick Osbo. He really has shown that he has a tremendous skill in these kind of conditions, and it makes perfect sense. Where he's from, where he drifts all the time, in the snow, in the sleet, he adapts very well to these conditions, and he has a perfect vehicle to be able to do that. But we also saw James Dean excel in these conditions as well. His car was working perfectly, and then a great story with Ryan Turk, a guy that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be a European ice drifter from America, New Hampshire, spends a lot of time in the rain, and that showed here tonight. He had an incredible car underneath him, second place in the podium, and after Long Beach, it's just a win overall no matter what for him.
After a wet, wild, and muddy Road Atlanta, Frederick Osbo comes out on top, Ryan Turk in second, and James Dean makes his first podium appearance. We'll see you guys in New Jersey for round 4.